What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're enjoying your Monday afternoon so far. This is NYG Jeffy T85 here, and I'm going to talk about why Brooklyn Nets head coach Jacque Vaughn might have to think about adjusting his starting lineup and who maybe has to get more minutes going into the last few games of this stretch going into the NBA season. The Brooklyn Nets have been going with the same starting lineup pretty much since the NBA trade deadline, and that has been Spencer Dinwiddie at the point, Mikal Bridges at the shooting guard position, Cam Johnson at small forward, Dorian Finney-Smith at power forward, and Nicholas Claxton at center. That has been the lineup they've mainly been going with. And then you have guys like Cam Thomas, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and Royce O'Neal that have been coming off the bench. The Nets might have to think about changing up this strategy a little bit because of the fact that while their defense has really been a much improved part of their game, the fact of the matter is the Nets aren't getting enough scoring from their starting unit, and it's ended up hurting this team going forward. And one player in particular, and I'm going to give a shout out to my good buddy NYG22, aka Unpopular Opinion Sports, who suggested this on one of his episodes of The Heart of the City, and that's the Brooklyn Nets should think about sitting Dorian Finney-Smith, putting him on the bench, and inserting Royce O'Neal into the lineup. Now, why would you do this? Royce O'Neal, while he is a 3-and-D player, can provide the Brooklyn Nets with some solid three-point shooting on the outside and is more of a natural scorer than somebody like Dorian Finney-Smith is. And both of them are very solid defensive players. I guess the only difference is that the wingspan of Finney-Smith is a little bit bigger than the wingspan of Royce O'Neal. So maybe that's why, and also continuity. I think head coach Jacque Vaughn just wants to try to get the most continuity out of this starting lineup that he currently has with the Brooklyn Nets. But at the same time, something is not working with this lineup right now. It's not working. The Nets, when the Nets go into these big lulls of scoring droughts, most of the time, and so far, Dorian Finney-Smith has been an absolute zero non-factor on the offensive side of the court. He might be doing things in other intangible parts of the game, block shots, rebounding, steals and everything, but shooting-wise, he's a black hole in this offense. He's not doing anything. He's not scoring at all. He has no offensive ability in this game right now. His last big game was probably against the Denver Nuggets, the first game that the Nets played a week and a half ago, when the Nets were able to beat the Nuggets by 2 points, 122-120 at the end of the game. Since then, Finney-Smith has pretty much scored a total of about 14 points in the last few games. That's just not going to cut it. Not for a starter that you need in the lineup. So maybe it's time for Jacque Vaughn to tinker up his starting lineup a little bit. You put Finney-Smith on the bench as a sixth man, and you could insert Royce O'Neal into the lineup. You put him at the small forward position, and you can move Cam Johnson, if you want, to power forward, or vice versa, and you have Dorian Finney-Smith come off the bench as your sixth man. Just to change things up a little bit and give the opponent something different to look at because of Royce O'Neal's ability on the offensive side of the court, and he can offer a little bit more than, say, Finney-Smith can for the Brooklyn Nets going into this season. It's something that could definitely maybe push a spark with this team, because right now this Nets team is getting no spark whatsoever on offense. It's pretty much one and done, 3-point shot, missing, rebound other team, drive down, basket, 3-point shot, rebound, other team, drive down, basket. It's becoming a repetitious type thing going on with the Brooklyn Nets, and they might need to change up things. Now, it might be a little bit too late for them to do that, but at the same time, what you're doing right now is not working. You're not getting enough offense on the court with the current players you have in the starting lineup. Change it up. The only guy that has been consistently putting up points has been Mikal Bridges. And he can't do it alone. Nicholas Claxton has upped his offensive game as of late. His defensive part of the side of the game has taken a little bit of a hit. Offensively, he's stepped up. He's actually been one of the better scorers on this team for this 4 or 5 game stretch recently. But Dorian Finney-Smith, if he doesn't up his production, at least in this upcoming game tomorrow night against the Cleveland Cavaliers at BarclaysCenter, it might be best of interest for Jacque Vaughn to change up his starting lineup, take Finney-Smith out, put him on the bench, insert Royce O'Neal, or maybe one of your three-point shooters like a Joe Harris or a Seth Curry, put them in the starting lineup, add a little bit more shooting to the lineup, and then you could have a couple of guys come off the bench and see how it works out for you. Curry has been playing a lot better for the Brooklyn Nets in recent games. He's really been a spark off the bench at times, and he's been lighting it up at the three-point line. That might be a position where the Brooklyn Nets might have to explore bringing in a guy like Seth Curry and putting him into the starting lineup for the end of this season, just to give this team a little bit of an offensive spark so far, because right now what they're getting is 0-0 from Finney-Smith, and that's just not going to cut it. You need offense from that position. And Finney-Smith, unless he's able to up his production at that small forward position, it might be best off for the Brooklyn Nets to change it up in the starting lineup, add a couple of more minutes for a certain player, and then away you go. But we'll see what head coach Jacque Vaughn has to say and what he wants to do going forward with the rest of this season in terms of his starting lineup and how he's going to pretty much play out the rest of this NBA season, starting with tomorrow night and Thursday night's back-to-back matchup at BarclaysCenter against the 4th-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers, whom the Nets beat earlier on in the season, but the Cavaliers obviously are playing against a much different Nets team. And of course, we heard about the report that came out last week about the Cavs behind the scenes secretly wanting a matchup with the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. Have to wonder if the Nets still remember what they said and if it's going to play a factor going into this game tomorrow night and Thursday night. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think about Jacque Vaughn potentially changing up the starting lineup, adding Royce O'Neal, Seth Curry, or Joe Harris in there, putting Dorian Finney-Smith with the second unit, if you would do that, if you wouldn't do it. Let me know in the comments section what you think about that. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Give a sub to NYGJeffyT85 for more news, updates, and chatter surrounding the Brooklyn Nets, and turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. And shout out to my guy, Unpopular Opinion Sports, aka NYG22, who brought up the point originally on the Heart of the City a couple of weeks ago for the Nets to potentially bench Finney-Smith and put Royce O'Neal into the starting lineup to add more offense and more versatility to the Nets offensive starting lineup going forward. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday. Take it easy, and let's go Brooklyn Nets. It's a Nets world, and we're all just living in it.